Oh, Bitcoin believers are breaking out the bubbly right now. The crypto of record has finally reclaimed $30,000. It's taken 305 days, but Bitcoin officially breached that level for the first time since June in the last 24 hours. Right now, look at it. It's at 30,419 and at pretty much it's at the 24-hour high. That is for sure. Now, of course, it's nowhere near Bitcoin's record high of 69,044 hit back in November of 2021. But Bitcoin's boost has sent crypto-related stocks surging. I mean, just look at Coinbase, Block, Riot, Marathon, all are charging higher today. You know what? Block is just about 1/3% higher, but the rest of them, I mean, Riot up 17%, Marathon up 14%, Coinbase up 6%. Bitcoin was the best, and we've told you this before, the best performing asset in the first quarter of this year. Could the crypto see back-to-back quarterly wins, and what's going to make that happen? Let's bring in one of the most well-known names in the crypto game, Pomp Investments, Anthony Pompliano, here in a Fox Business exclusive. Well, let's tackle that first. Do you think that it'll see a second quarter win as well? Best performing asset, just like in the first quarter?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I understand that people want to kind of talk about week-to-week performance, month-to-month performance, but I think that Bitcoin is a unique asset in that it forces people to be a long-term thinker about it. And if you really look over the last couple of years, there's been incredible volatility. We've seen prices go up hundreds of percent. We've seen drawdowns that have been 50 to 75%. And so the people who end up kind of winning by holding the asset are folks who use timeless investing principles. They dollar cost average into an asset. They hold it for a long time, and it happens to be the trade of this generation. If you go back 20 years ago, the winners and losers were pretty much determined by who bought the internet stocks and who didn't. And if you could hold the right ones for a long time, you ended up having outsized returns. And so I think that the trade of this generation is going to be who bought this asset and who didn't. Now, you got to hold it for a long period of time, and you can't get sucked up into that day-to-day volatility. But if you follow those timeless investing principles, so far, those people tend to be doing pretty well.
Well, who bought it at 15,000? Because now it has doubled. I see your point there, but what do you think has been the real driver? We hear everything about, the regional banking crisis, because obviously, the original intent of Bitcoin when it was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever, whatever that really was, it was that people no longer trusted the central bank or regular banks. Is it that? Is it something much, much longer in the past, perhaps? Is it inflation? What do you think?
Yeah, I think people want a black and white answer, but the short answer is it's everything. Right. And what I mean by that is I think that the debt limit crisis, there are a lot of people who are saying, how do I hedge a potential U.S. default? Well, I probably needed something outside of the system. I need an alternative. Bitcoin can help solve that. There's people who say, hey, I need something that will hedge me from currency debasement. I need something outside of the system. Bitcoin can solve that. I think there's people who say, hey, I need to hedge the risk around the banking system. I need something outside of the system. I need an alternative. Bitcoin can solve that. And so you can go through all of these kind of cracks in that legacy system. And again, I don't think majority of people are taking 100% or even 50% of their net worth and they're buying Bitcoin. I very much think that the majority of folks are going and they're putting some percentage, maybe 1 to 5% into Bitcoin. And they're saying, this is the chaos hedge. This is the insurance in case there are significant issues in that legacy system. And what is fascinating to me is that that system now has been adopted by over 150 million people around the world. And so if you think about that, you could line up every single American citizen, and about 1 out of every 2 of them now believe that this system is worthy of some portion of the economic value that they've earned in their life, which is absolutely incredible to only be, 15 years or so into this.
But Anthony, you talk about significant trust issues. We just saw this in November with FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange that completely collapsed, filed for bankruptcy. BlockFi also having trouble. Silvergate had to close its bank. What about the trust issues there?
I think that if you go and you ask people in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency industry, they are not trying to bet on the trust of centralized institutions. The banks are centralized. Many of those companies you just described are centralized as well. But Bitcoin specifically is a decentralized asset with a programmatic monetary policy. It is backed by the strongest computing network in the world. And if there is one thing in the world that I will bet my life on, it is the fact that Bitcoin's monetary policy will continue to execute exactly as designed. Whoa. No one in the legacy financial system can even tell me what the Federal Reserve's monetary policy is going to be a month or a couple of weeks from now. It's impossible to plan. The average American cannot plan their life. The average entrepreneur cannot plan their business because they don't know if the cost of capital is going to be 0% or 5%. They don't know if we're going to be in a quantitative tightening or quantitative easing. But Bitcoiners know the monetary policy till the day they die. It is written in code, audited by anyone in the world. And as long as that code continues to execute, that monetary policy will not change. And that is the beauty, is that you can trust an algorithm just as you do in the rest of your life. You trust Google to give you answers rather than ask your friend. You trust Spotify to give you music recommendations rather than ask a friend. You trust Google Maps to give you directions rather than ask a friend. And eventually, I think you're going to trust an algorithm with your monetary policy more than you're going to trust any other human in the world.
Oh, well, you just bet your life. Anthony, don't. Okay, we got to have you back because I wanted to talk about XRP. That's up 50+% year to date. There's news on Ethereum. We've got the Shanghai company, an upgrade in Shanghai that released $33 billion in token assets. So much more to come on that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime.